Hey, it's Dave Chapin. Welcome to the Wolf Sports YouTube channel. There's been a lot of talk about redrafting the 2024 quarterback class, and as usual, the talk is way off. To me, the top two are clear from that draft class, Bo Nix and Caleb Williams. I have Jaden Daniels third, with the injury questions playing a role after being part of the concern with him as a prospect despite electric ability. This video will focus on the top 12 franchise quarterbacks to build around if there was a redraft of the entire NFL. But first, to round out the rest of that 2024 class, Michael Penix Jr. has promising arm talent, but of course, unfortunately has even bigger injury concerns than Daniels. And J.J. McCarthy is in about the best situation possible with the Vikings, but has shown some of the issues that made him a bit of a surprise as the number 10 pick by Minnesota 2 years ago. And as for Drake May, just 23 years old, finished second in MVP voting after an incredibly efficient statistical season in year two, but the struggles during the postseason, including taking a ton of sacks and turning the ball over 8 times in 4 games, give some pause. That's not to say the upside isn't obvious. Again, a young player you'd hope will build on what he's done and be a star. The relatively long release, the taking sacks, the fumbles, the inconsistency with accuracy during the playoffs, they're all questions in critical areas though. He could certainly keep it up and vault into a definite top-shelf franchise quarterback, but I'm wanting to see more after his regular season. Might have been somewhat overplayed given the context and how the playoffs were a struggle. Now to the league's top franchise quarterbacks. This takes into account age and projection. In the top 10 rankings of the NFL's franchise quarterbacks to build around last year, this was the list from 10 to 1. Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen. And honestly, a big reason why I wanted to do this style of ranking again is that I had Nix and Williams actually too low after their rookie seasons. Caleb was the honorable mention in 2025, and it just felt wrong putting him squarely over Daniels after a Rookie of the Year campaign. But he should have been in somewhere, and it was stupid of me not to have him in after he was an obvious top-tier prospect who played better than people might think as a rookie. So the primary focus of the video will be on Williams and Nix and where they land, but we'll quickly run down starting with number 12. Really, numbers 12 through 8, I had the most trouble stacking up, so it's sort of a rough ranking. Brock Purdy has an obvious uncommon feel for playing the game's most important position that's been obvious since his time at Iowa State. He's an outstanding playmaker who knows how to keep drives moving. His third, fourth down conversion rate was insane in 2025. And the combination of field vision to see things and the willingness to pull the trigger, though it can sometimes lead to interceptions, creates jaw-dropping, layered throws, leading to big plays for a squad. Purdy was only mentioned briefly as an honorable mention last year, so we'll go more rapid fire with the next few. Daniels was already mentioned. What stands out about him is his top-flight rushing ability and a pinpoint deep ball. Trevor Lawrence finished as an MVP finalist in 2025, so obviously he did nothing to drop out of the top 10. The blend of experience, 5 years as a starter, and age, just 26 years old despite that experience, are overwhelming positives. He can get more consistent though. Justin Herbert is supremely talented, size, rocket arm, ability to fit throws in, a rushing element that was better than ever last season. Of course, the playoffs have been an undeniable problem to this point. If and when he gets over the hump, watch out. Perhaps a debated one, Jared Goff remains squarely in my top 10. He's 31, but his style of play should allow for several more seasons of high-level success from the pocket. The Lions' offensive line took a noticeable step back last season, but Goff still threw 34 touchdowns compared to 8 interceptions and is a deadly accurate quarterback. He's in that Tom Brady, Peyton Manning type of territory in terms of becoming a master of seeing everything a defense can throw at you and knowing how to beat it. While you need to protect him to reach the maximum level of success, Goff just showed he can figure it out, despite the Lions not meeting expectations as a team like the great ones do. Of course, all these guys, and some who didn't make the cut, are awesome, but I had the easiest time with ranking a top 7 and determining who should be in there. Again, order can vary, but age and injury plays a hand in number 7, 6, and 5, being Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes. Burrow has had horrible injury luck and has been open about his football mortality. Dealing with so many injuries is challenging, but we all know he's excellent when he's on the field. My hope of Jackson taking the next step in the postseason obviously didn't come to pass in 2025. He was banged up all year, and the Ravens didn't even make the playoffs. The question is if Jackson, though underrated as a passer, can sustain his dynamic rushing ability that really makes him special. Mahomes is coming off a torn ACL and simply hasn't been near the level we saw early in his career over the past 3 seasons, but the 3-time Super Bowl champion isn't someone to bet too hard against. Now, these next 3 might be incredibly controversial, but they're 3 quarterbacks who have shown a lot and reason to believe in them. Jalen Hurts will turn just 28 before the start of the 2026 season. People were trying to clown Hurts for being part of that Super Bowl MVP thing before Super Bowl 60. I don't understand. He is that guy. Couldn't have performed much better on the biggest stage twice. He brings a consistent championship mindset every single day, plays winning football, is a much better passer than he's given credit for, typically does damage with his legs, and sets a tone for the team. Now to Caleb Williams and Bo Nix. They're already there in my opinion. They're in the superstar franchise quarterback discussion, entering year 3. In today's NFL, they're the perfect fit for how you win games. Both third-year stars can kill you from inside the pocket, but when things break down, they have rare ability to go make a play. It's no accident that Nix led the NFL with 7 game-winning drives in 2025, while Williams was right behind him with 6. Both stepped up in postseason. They might be 1 and 2 in terms of ability to throw on the run. They avoid sacks and turnovers. They have laser arms and aren't afraid to fit throws into tight spaces. Their blends of elite playmaking ability, paired with how well they take care of the ball, is a scary combination, which makes their teams tough to beat. They typically won't lose games for you, and at the same time they can do what it takes to win at the end. As fantastic as Ben Johnson and Sean Payton are, the supporting cast in Chicago and Denver were very clearly elevated by the play at quarterback. If having to stack them up, let's go Caleb at number 3. It's kind of crazy that the biggest issue for Williams is missing the so-called lamp throws at times. There's no reason to believe he won't figure that out. The mind-blowing throws are almost a common occurrence for the former number 1 overall pick. He has a rocket to launch deep balls for big plays, and he's always been a great athlete, but his speed as a runner seemed to kick into another gear in year 2. It was shocking how fast he was running in key situations and to pick up first downs. Caleb has ice in his veins in big moments, with nothing bothering him from start to finish. As shown over the past few months, the Bears should never be counted out. At number 2, I'd go Nix. We've done a few videos on him specifically, leading up to and throughout his second NFL season. People still just don't get it. Unfortunately, Jarrett Stidham was in a tough spot for his first action in over 2 years in the FC Championship loss to the Patriots, but Nix's value was evident when he missed that game because of the stunning ankle injury. The Broncos had 2 All-Pros on the offensive line in Garrett Bowles and Quinn Miners, and they're both exceptional, but when doubters want to point to that as a reason Nix isn't good, it's very ignorant. Nix is one of the best quarterbacks all time at avoiding sacks. He's already among the best at not fumbling. That's massive. As we've gone over in past videos, despite the narratives, the talent and skill level are obvious if you just watch him play and know what you're looking at. But for some of his accomplishments so far, Nix is tied for the most game-winning drives through 2 seasons in the Super Bowl era and most wins through 2 seasons. First quarterback in NFL history with 10-plus wins and 30-plus touchdowns in each of his first 2 seasons. Has the 3rd most total touchdowns and 3rd most passing touchdowns across his first 2 seasons in league history. Has the most touchdown passes of 20-plus air yards since entering the league. On top of it all, he shows up in the biggest moments. He was superb in the playoff win over the Bills, carrying the offense with the ball in his hands on 85% of the plays versus the NFL's number 1 pass defense. Imagine when the Broncos had more around him. And finally, Josh Allen remains the number 1 franchise player in the NFL. If we were redrafting in 2026, he's the guy for me. As stated last year, football is a team sport. Despite not having his best game in the divisional loss at Denver, the premier dual threat has done more than enough on an individual basis to win multiple championships. He's one of the best postseason performers in NFL history and could carry a team like no other. Allen will turn 30 this offseason, so there are plenty of good years left for someone who can torch defenses with his arm. Obviously, this order can vary. It's not gospel. Having different opinions is part of the fun, but I think Nix and Williams have shown enough to be considered first-class franchise quarterbacks when projecting ahead. And the disrespect Nix in particular gets among the 2024 draft class is just crazy at this point. So this is how I see it. Feel free to let us know where you agreed or disagree in the comments. Like this video if you enjoyed it, which I hope you did. Thank you for watching.